D23. I think we have some members in the audience tonight. Is that right? Where are they at? They're all throughout. Well, I'm delighted to be here with all of you because we are here for a very special occasion. It's the 20th anniversary of Percy Jackson. The light.
Crowd tonight. Hey, everybody. I see a lot of orange shirts. Good representing. I like it.
Okay, right off the bat though, 20 years, how does that feel? You enter into the room, you hear the applause.
It's been around. I mean, you can find in the history of art, you can find pictures of Apollo with the powdered wig on from the 1700s. You can find pictures of them in the 1800s, 1900s, back in the Middle Ages. And whatever age we're talking about, the artist makes the gods look like the people of that time. So they transfer very, very easily. I'm just carrying on the tradition.
You do it so well, because I did. I went to Greece this year and I was like, what was the first beginning of the character of Percy?
Right, so before that, you really have to go back to about 2002 when my son, my oldest son, Haley, was struggling in school because he had just been diagnosed with ADHD and dyslexia, having a tough time, and to sort of get him feeling better about where he was as a person and as a student, I made up a Greek myth. I mean, I figured that's what they do with myths, right? They're made to explain things that we don't really understand. So I told him, in my world of Greek mythology, if you have ADHD and dyslexia, that might be a sign that you're really special indeed. You might be a demigod. And he said, that explains it. And I told him this story off the top of my head of Percy Jackson, and he's the one that said, I think you should write that down. And so really, I guess we owe it to him. That's why I'm here.
All the boxes.
Hey, I still assigned homework, so.
That's where it balanced out. All right, the pop quizzes, I'm sure. No, I'm just kidding. Okay, so the birthday boy, Percy, of course, we've got to talk about. So he's described as witty, brave, impulsive, loyal, but also flawed. Not like any of us are, by the way. But how did you find his voice? And then what do you hope readers learn from the character?
Percy's voice is, in a lot of ways, my voice. It's also my son's voice, to an extent. But more than that, I imagined him being one of my students when I first began. And at that time, I'd been teaching for over 15 years. I had seen many, many classes full of 6th, 7th, and 8th graders come through, all with their own wonderful personalities and senses of humor. But I sort of, by that time, had a pretty good sense of what a 12-year-old boy sounds like, and what they're thinking, especially when they're presented with information that's just absurd. They come into the classroom and they're thinking, why am I learning this? It's like, this has nothing to do with my life. And it was my job to convince them otherwise, with humor, with action, with relevance, and say, no, look, this is actually a really cool story. Let me tell you this version of it. So Percy is that. He's the voice that I hear when I'm imagining myself back in my classroom talking to my kids.